I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much for coming. This is wonderful.
We're really glad we made it past those parts.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's get started with a big question. What inspired you to undertake your journey down the Dutch, John?
I've been doing rivers travels for the last 26 years, and the duck has always been something special to me. Started 30 years ago when I took my son down and we rent a canoe and he'd go fishing and catch fish and actually cook and feed me at night. It was unbelievable. And it was such a wonderful experience. I wanted to continue, but because of all the dams, it was not practical for a solo paddler to try to do the entirety. And then this came up with the Harpeth community and conservation groups, and it just turned out to be a very, very special event. And I was just so glad to be part of it.
Yes, thank you. Did anything surprise you other than the carp? Or did anything especially delight you along the way?
It's just the chance to be in nature in such an intimate way. It's always so special. In the movie or the documentary, you saw where, I did have some health issues. And ever since I've been on the river, between the exercise and the spirituality, my health has just grown exponentially. And I've come back after a month or 2 months on the water, stronger and healthier and more optimistic than when I left. And that's what keeps bringing me back.
Beautiful. Now, Sarah, this question is for you. First of all, thank you for your work and for your passion. We'd love to hear a little bit about your connection to the river and your connection to John's journey and how you got into it.
Thank you, and thank you, my community, for showing up. This is so special to see everybody in here. Thank you for coming. I alluded to it in the film, but the Duck River has wound through my life since elementary school. I went to Riverside. Go Riverside, you guys know. And then through my life living in Williamsport, where the river is really important to our family and our community there. And honestly, I started to become more involved in the Duck River because of issues facing our community, and I wanted to know how I could help. And I had learned more than I could ever have thought I've learned about this river, which has been just an exciting thing to add to, be educated about. And then I saw I think I saw a small write-up in the Nashville Scene that you were going to do this, and I was like, wait a minute. Someone who I know, because I've known John, I actually bought some of his darkroom equipment about 10 years ago. And anyway, so I already knew who he was through the photography community. And I thought, okay, well, this is two of my favorite things in one boat. So I've got to know what's going on. And I reached out and I thought, what are you going to be doing? And how can I help? And how can we resource you on this journey? And so that's kind of what happened. And I never thought I would be going from buying an enlarger to bringing you a casserole.
There you go.
Sarah, what's one thing that maybe surprised you the most?
I think this is pretty surprising. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, we have between 400 and 500 people here tonight. Yeah, about 400, 500 people here.
Yeah, so we packed it out. That's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Everything is possible when we come together. Isn't that right? Becky, tell us a little bit about what it's meant for PBS to be a part of a project like this.
Well, it's really important because we are, public media belongs to the public. I mean, that's the difference. We're not, PBS is not a network. I think people don't really fully understand that. So it's not a top-down organization. We're members. It's a member federated system. And so Nashville PBS is PBS, but we feature and focus local, And we love it when local matches national. And PBS has a strong, really strong dedication to the environment and to science. You know, if you watch on Wednesday nights, it's the smartest night on TV on PBS. And so when John came to have a conversation with me, probably like in June, maybe right before he wanted to go, he said, look, I've got this opportunity with these wonderful arts organizations, and I want to go and be on the river, and can you do that? And we had so much going on. We were creating the Brenda Lee documentary, and we just finished the Minnie Pearl documentary, which I would love to show those here, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be fun, right? But I knew John because we did this incredible documentary, which we're airing again this summer, your River Voyage. I'm so excited about that you're gonna have a chance to see it. You can always watch it on the app, but it really was a reason for us to come back together. But I knew our team was really booked up with content, and he said, well, I have to get on the river in October. And I was like, oh, I don't know what we're gonna do about this, but okay. And the Dunsing brothers, I knew, and Josh was supposed to be here tonight, I just love them. I love their work. I love The Good Road, the series they work on. And so I called them and said, look, you know what? We don't have a budget. We don't have the team yet, but if you will join us on this journey with John, we'll make it happen. We'll come together. And so many of you, you know, when you see that tag at the end of a show, when viewers like you, made possible, like viewers like you, it really is true. And the wonderful funders that Marianne shared with you and your great commitments just was a dream. But John is the reason we're doing it. He's the reason, because he drew attention to something that is so important to all of us, and that is the Duck River.
Yeah, he's certainly a catalyst. One of the things that we loved about this film is that it's very evident that your journey brought together folks from paddlers to landowners, conservationists, homeowners, scientists, artists, community members, the list goes on. What did that experience in the film, seeing all these different folks come together, did it show you something different or something you weren't expecting?
Did it show me something? Well, I think the thing that I learned a lot about how rivers erode. You know, I learned a lot. Well, I just learned a lot. I mean, there's so much in this film, but what I love about the film is something that we've started really doing a lot. We create a lot of content at Nashville PBS, but we also curate a lot of content and work in partnership with independent producers like the Dunsing brothers. This has an original score that was created by a local artist, and the materials were so important that it breathes. I don't know if you noticed that. It gives you time to be still on the river with John, so that when you get one of those really incredible tidbits of information, it really, and you can hear it in the soundtrack. If you go back and listen to the soundtrack, there's those moments that reiterate what is being said. So for me, it was, I'll tell you about an article I just read, and recently by Tina Sharkey, and it was about AI, but what it said was, you know, we're all hung up on artificial intelligence, and we should be hung up on spiritual intelligence. And that's what this documentary did for me, spiritual intelligence. Thank you.
Well, I think we can all agree that the river itself is the main character of the story we're all weaving together. And the more you spend with it, the more it reveals. April, many viewers across the country, side note, isn't that exciting that the Duck River's tale is being told across the country, potentially the world? All right. They may not realize just how extraordinary the river is. Can you help us put the Duck River into perspective for an international audience?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We have 55 watersheds in Tennessee, tens of thousands of miles of river, but only one Duck River. It's very, very special. As John just told us in the film we just watched, is the most biodiverse river in North America. Ryan Jackwood was talking about how it's the third most biodiverse river in the world. There are so many species of fish. There are more species of fish than all of Europe combined and all of the European rivers. So over 60 unique species of mussels. And there are mussels that are globally significant populations. And what that means, y'all, is there are mussels in the Duck River that we don't see anywhere else in the world. TWRA and other conservation groups have tried to grow those mussels in a lab and repopulate with them, and they're having some success, but they only seem to make it and thrive in the Duck River. We've sent mussels down to similar rivers in Alabama and South Carolina, and they just don't survive there. So we are still learning about what makes the Duck River special. Is it the connection with groundwater? Is it the high mineral content? Is it the flows that are sometimes intermittent and sometimes high that make the best mussels survive? We have PhDs all over the country, but especially here in Tennessee, that are studying that just to figure out what is so special about it. I mean, all of us that have been there, and especially those of us that live here, know what makes it special. But they're trying to find out from a scientific opportunity. At my agency, we're the state agency responsible for protecting the Duck River through permitting and regulatory mechanisms, and we have designated the Duck River as an exceptional Tennessee water. And so with that designation comes our highest level of protection, our highest level of funding, and our highest level of research. So that's very significant to us. It's the drinking water source for, we estimate, between 275 100,000 and 300,000 Tennesseans across multiple states. And I heard Grace talk about that on the film. So it has a lot of impact. And then over 50 years ago, lawmakers designated a special agency to work on water supply solutions for the Duck River. It's really awesome to me to think that our lawmakers that many years ago anticipated the time that we're in right now. And so they established the Duck River Agency. I saw some of the team members from the Duck River Agency here today, and they're a regional planning organization that are dedicated to the water supply needs and protecting the Duck River as well.
Let's give a shout out to the Duck River Agency. Raise your hand if you're here. Georgianne, I see you over there. Thank you for being here. Love that. Well, Grace, knowing how especially special the Duck River is, what are some of the unique challenges that the river faces?
Well, Tennessee is one of the fastest growing states in the country. I mean, who wouldn't want to move here? It's beautiful and incredible. But with that fast population growth comes challenges. And you actually see this problem. It's not just unique to the duck. This happens everywhere, that it's often hard to keep up with your infrastructure and taxing on your natural resources, especially when you don't have very detailed zoning ordinances or rules that have thought about that massive growth. And when you don't have those plans in place ahead of time, and who would have thought that we were gonna have this massive growth? It's hard to plan for that. So right now, we're seeing an issue with a lot of people moving here, and so you have to have more water withdrawals. But at the same time, we're also seeing an issue where we're having higher levels of drought. I mean, we just recently were in a pretty bad drought, and that's happening over and over again. So you're imagining more withdrawals, less river water. And so that is a challenge that we're having to think through right now of how can we adequately protect the river, but also provide drinking water for all of the communities that rely on it.
Thank you. Now, this is for Grace and April. John completed this journey in 2024, which was 2 years ago. Shortly after that, the Governor Lee, launched the Duck River Watershed Planning Partnership. Could you give us some examples of the work that's happening right now to protect and conserve the Duck River as part of that partnership effort?
Sure, I'll go first. Governor Lee said in his State of the Union last year, to grow Tennessee, we have to conserve Tennessee. And so we're really working on that. I've just appreciated so much. We're on a national stage right now with his executive order, the $90 million that he and the General Assembly gave to the Duck River, and the 19-member partnership that he established, which Grace sits on representing the conservation community, Mayor Butt sits on representing municipalities, and 17 other people, including my boss, Commissioner Salyers of TA. And so I think that we are charged with becoming a model for the nation of how to balance population growth with conserving, the most special water resource that we have here in Tennessee. So I think that those opportunities are just amazing to have everyone sitting at a table. And I'll just say thank you for inviting me here. It's not every day, honestly, that conservation groups invite TDEC to be part of those conversations. Sometimes conservation groups don't think that TDEC goes far enough, and we've had lawsuits for that. Sometimes the water systems and the regulated communities think that TDEC goes too far, and so I think establishing that table that has room for everyone and with so many different agencies represented, I think that's just really been the big success and the opportunity that I see.
Yeah, right now there are a slew of scientific studies happening on the Duck River. So we're about to have a lot more information that we already know. I mean, maybe we'll find some new species or other things in the process, but they're doing full-scale studies across the river. They're doing engineering reports, looking at a variety of options of long-term planning and how we can best protect the Duck River. So that's ongoing right now, and a lot of that data is going to influence the next steps. We're also really working on public engagement, and this is partially why we wanted to do these screenings, because we wanted to get in front of more people and be able to kind of share the duck and learn from you in these processes. I mean, how many of you took the Duck River survey that we sent out? Oh, I'm seeing a lot of hands. Well, I will say over 800 people took that survey, and anyone who has ever tried to, it's worth clapping for. Anyone who's ever tried to do a survey knows that it can be pulling teeth, especially when it's not a sexy survey, you're not getting paid for it. But over 800 people said, we care about this river. And we have looked through that survey, and we're using that data to figure out ways to better educate the public. That was one of the aspects that came out, that people, again, didn't know what to do and wanted more opportunities to understand the different variety of ways that the Duck River needs to be protected, how it's being impacted right now, and how they can get involved. And so we're working on toolkits to educate everyone. We are working with utilities, governmental officials, community groups, all up and down the watershed, so that we can put together kind of a very fulsome plan. And you can look online, the Duck River Planning Partnership, and kind of follow along. There's a lot of presentations on there that you can see that have been done along the way. And we'll keep on updating, and we welcome input. We'll be around afterwards, so you can come talk to us and give us suggestions or ideas, because we love to hear your thoughts as well.
Well, as a kind of rapid fire round of last thoughts, how about this? I'd love to hear from each of you. When you think about the future of the Duck River 20 years from now, what is your greatest hope?
My hope is that it survives, and survives in the way that it is existing now. It's a beautiful, beautiful river.
Well, I hope the same, and that we'll all be able to use the river in the way that I think it's been intended, that John brought light to. So for farmers and paddlers and fishermen and families, I think it is such a beautiful river. And I hope it's fuller. I hope, 20 years from now, it's actually fuller. And I hope that we continue to be able to share John's journeys on many rivers.
I hope I share that, obviously, John, and I'm so glad to be sitting beside you. I hope that there's more Friends of the Duck. So find us on social media, email us, it's on our website, find out how you can do something right outside your back door. It's not very hard, it feels really good. So we can all do it together, and that will make our community a really special place to live in for generations to come.
Well, tonight we watched the amazing story that John showed us, and people around the nation and around our state are watching us to see what we do at this really important juncture. I've been invited to national conferences and to speaking engagements all around the state to talk about the Duck River Partnership and what we plan to do. Grace and I were just in Chattanooga a couple of weeks ago, presenting together at an environmental conference down there. Other state directors and EPA have invited me to speak and tell our story. The Tennesseans and other watersheds are watching. And I just personally feel like God has given me a really awesome responsibility in leading our state agency of water resources. Governor Lee has given me an awesome responsibility in the General Assembly in asking that I balance that conservation with providing safe and plentiful drinking water for all Tennesseans to protect all Tennessee rivers. And then I look at those of you in the audience who are watching. I sat behind some friends, the Seagos, who live along the Duck River. I sat with my family. My kids are watching us. 2 of my 4 children are here. I saw your son, Sarah. So many kids are watching us to see what we do. So my prayer is that everyone that's watching us, in 20 years, they look back and they say that we got it right and that we set a model for balancing conservation, for water reuse, which we're exploring right now in Spring Hill, for off-stream storage reservoirs that don't require an impoundment, and that they just really say that we did it right.
Amen and amen. Grace, I'll ask you one other question and let you close it out with your hopes. Along with your hopes, what can we all do to help ensure that future that we hope for?
Well, I hope that it stays one of the most biodiverse rivers in all of the world, first off, but I also want it to stay the lifeblood of the community. I want you to be able to have clean drinking water from the river, to be able to recreate, to have the peace of mind, for it to be a boon for the economy. I mean, all of those things are so important. And when we think about that this film is going to be shown nationally, I also hope that its reputation becomes a legacy that inspires other individuals to protect their rivers and to use the lessons we have here at their own watersheds. And that's the plan. This is not just the plan for the Duck River watershed. Our plan is a template for the rest of the rivers in Tennessee, because all of our rivers are incredibly biodiverse here and they're worth protecting. And I will say, we would like to say our rivers have a head and a mouth, but they don't have a voice. And so each of you here, when you come and you join us together, we are forming a chorus that has to be heard. We're getting louder and louder and making sure that people are taking into account what needs to be done to protect the Duck River. And there are so many ways to do that. Each of you have talents and skills and networks that you can bring to the movement. It can be as simple as sharing a social media post of the Friends of the Duck or Arbith Conservancy. I know Jess would want me to mention that. You can look online. We have the first E. coli predictive model in the state, and we actually have a site on Centerville. You can see what's the E. coli levels in real time and tell your friends about that before you recreate so that you can make better choices. You can take our Clean Water Act training if you really want to go deep into what that means. But you can also join us on the legislature. This past session, we worked very hard with a bunch of other groups as well, Duck River Conservancy and Duck River Watershed, Friends of the Duck, and we were able to get past the State Scenic Rivers Act for the rest of the Duck River watershed. And more importantly, it was a level 2, which means that you can't have a landfill within 2 miles of any of those areas. But we already know that is likely going to be challenged next session from what we're hearing. So the fight is not over. And we need all of your engagement to be involved. So if you didn't sign up, get our email list, get on the list. You have a way to get involved. Come speak to us. We have a lot of staff here. Marie, you can talk to me, Marie, you can talk to Sarah. We have Dory, one of our founders over here, and y'all recognize Jess from the film. But come up to us. Let us know. You probably we can brainstorm how you can get involved, but we will need everyone coming up soon, not just for this legislative session, but along the way, we're going to have more challenges, and we need y'all at the table with us. So I hope that you will take the beauty of the film and that you will share it with your friends. We're gonna have other screenings along the watershed. So if you know people who couldn't make it to this one, we're gonna have other opportunities. So please let them know about this and get involved and stay involved with us.
Well, all right, y'all, we did it. Thank you, each and every one of you for coming. Ooh, did you hear my words come out as a mumbo jumbo? Oof. We made it. We did it. We did it. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of what we do without the collective action of all of us. So let's keep going. Real quick logistic on that raffle. I got winners. All right. If your name is